Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Friday edition of Burn It Down with Kim Brown. This is the place where we set oppression ablaze. I hope you guys are ready to do some burning with me on this Friday, 1st of August. Leo season still popping. Mercury in retrograde also still popping. Lots of planets in retrograde. I'm tired. But anyway, I hope you guys are feeling good and feeling loose and froggy. Just a quick reminder, we are in the middle of our summer fundraiser. So if you guys can do what you can to help us reach our goal of $3,000 by next Friday, August the 8th, we are right around the $500 mark. Not too bad, not too bad. Thank you so much again to everyone that has donated. Thank you so much to Steve S. Thank you to Jessica I. Thank you to Trey D. Thank you to all the folks that have run support. We certainly appreciate it. No amount is too small. We will take your $2 with gratitude. Okay. So whatever you have to contribute to chip in, we will certainly appreciate it. And we appreciate you guys helping to keep BIDWKB going for the foreseeable future. So anyway, gang, we're going to get into some stories here. Um, First place I want to go, I want to revisit the ICE abductions, the kidnapping of people literally from off the streets. People are being kidnapped from their jobs. People are being kidnapped from asylum hearings, immigration court proceedings. And while previous administration, including those of Democrats, including Joe Biden and Barack Hussein Obama, both have deported record amounts of people, but see, Donald Trump and his administration obviously is going after migrants with malice. It doesn't matter about their criminal record or lack thereof. In fact, of the about 70,000 people that ICE has detained since Trump took office 6.5 months ago, more than half of those people have no criminal record. They were not in any criminal judicial proceedings whatsoever. They are literally Homeland Security, ICE, and whoever the fuck are literally racially profiling people. Whoever looks brown, maybe black, depending on how many vowels you have in your last name, right? Shout out to the African massive. You understand? So they looking out for skin color and listening out for accents, and checking a box for either of those things could literally get you kidnapped and spirited away into ICE detention, perhaps hundreds, maybe thousands of miles away from home, with your status to be undetermined for an indeterminate amount of time because you're being denied due process and the right to appear before a judge. But there's been a couple actions. I want us to take a look because there's resistance to all of this naturally, and it's come in different forms. And I wanted to make you aware of a protest that I was not knowing about. You guys familiar with Avelo Airlines? Avelo, I'm not sure which country Avelo is based out of, but they are an international air carrier with a limited amount of airplanes, usually servicing countries in Central and South America. Are they Mexican based, gang? Chat, let me know. Avelo Airlines. Well, apparently, Avelo had signed a contract with the federal government agreeing to fly detainees out of the country, not even necessarily to the detainees' home country. Avelo just agreed to send people wherever the fuck the Trump administration determines they should go. A lot of these folks being sent to El Salvador themselves, not necessarily El Salvadorian. Again, the denial of due process. Anybody that comes in this country is entitled to due process and constitutional rights. Fuck what you heard. Okay? Okay. So there had been a 3-month-long sustained protest out at the Burbank Hollywood Airport protesting Avelo Airlines participation in the Trump administration's mass deportation program. But there was some news this week, and I want to credit to KPRK Radio out of the West Coast. reminds me very much of WPFW, an active here in DC, an activist, the oriented, justice oriented broadcaster that definitely amplifies the voice of the people. So let's go to the KPRK clip updating us about the 3-month long Avelo Airlines strike. Let's take a listen.
Very cheerful day as Avelo has announced that they will be leaving. The boycott has hurt them financially, and they will be leaving. They are leaving not only Burbank, but the whole West Coast and concentrating their business on the East Coast. So people here have been successful in their 3 months of protesting here. They've seen an outcome this week that was very, very positive for them. About 100 people show up. This is a regular event. It's here at Hollywood Burbank Airport in Burbank. This is ongoing, and there's still flights here, so people will be out here once the last Sunday of every month to protest what Avelo has done, and probably start focusing on other companies that are complicit. There's protests all over Los Angeles that KPFK Media has covered. Some of them are the No King's Day protests we live stream. We've live streamed the No Oligarchs tour, live streamed downtown LA during the first week where protesters were surrounding the federal building, the detention center, protesting the illegal kidnapping of people all over our city.
Interesting scenes there coming out of Burbank, California, pertaining to the Avelo Airlines protests. Now, again, it's a partial victory, though, because it doesn't sound as though Avelo has necessarily canceled this contract it has with the federal government. However, it seems as though there has been enough pressure applied from the people to make Avelo pivot and or change up their business model. It's not worth it to them now to remain on the West Coast. So now I guess the Avelo Airlines protests will switch to the East Coast because, I mean, no, you shouldn't be allowed to run shit. If you're going to participate in the kidnapping and transportation, literally selling down the river, down the Rio Grande, depending on what river you're talking about. If you're going to participate in these kinds of actions, then no, your bottom line should absolutely be impacted. These companies are not, innocent actors. Corporations, as we know, have long participated in the institution of slavery and keeping workers down and oppressed. Avelo Airlines, no exception here, even if they are Latino owned, which again, I'm not sure that they are, but regardless. So I wanted to send congratulations going out to those folks who managed to make Avelo pivot as it were. There was another incident that I wanted to show you guys, in the different ways in which people are resisting. And I appreciate all because it's needed, it's necessary. All the Black and brown people that come out and offer support to folks that are being targeted by ICE and Homeland Security, that's excellent. There's a lot of community action, the surveilling of Homeland Security and ICE agents' movements around different cities. There are, relay calls. People are posting the locations where they've seen ICE to be as a lookout for the community as a whole. I want us to take a look at this video. You guys may have seen it already. It's coming out of Kansas City. And the caption I saw, it did say Kansas. So for y'all that don't know, there's the Kansas City, Missouri side and the Kansas City, Kansas side. So this is reported to be out of the KCK side. And the video is going to pick up where the camera is pointed at a so-called ICE a Homeland Security agent. Hold on, before I play this clip, let me say this real quick about KPRK, who brought us the previous clip from Avelo Airlines. Gang, it is important now more than ever to please tune in and support your local independent public media outlets, your public radio, even, I mean, if you want to support the NPR stations, that's cool. I think NPR is going to be okay, though. Some of the more rural public radio stations may not fare as well, but now is the time to support. Please support KPRK, WPFW, WBAI. Like, if there are media entities, local newspapers, digital outlets, local TV stations, your local YouTuber, your local Twitcher, you got to support. You have to support, because the information, the accuracy, all of that shit is going to die if left up to the legacy and mainstream and so-called heritage outlets. I just wanted to throw that in there. So, okay, going back to Kansas City, Kansas, where Homeland Security was targeting a restaurant where brown workers were, except the Homeland Security was met with some radical whites. And not like the Klan radical whites, no, like the radical whites we like, the John Brown Brigade radical whites, as it were. And once these fake ass Homeland Security agents were confronted by whites, this is the kind of white on white violence we love. We love it, because again, you got to meet the white supremacy with the radical whites, because the good whites be like, nigga, you can't out white me. I hope they don't say nigga, but but you get what I'm saying. Let's hope they don't say nigga. But anyway, let's cut to the clip, because these Homeland Security agents were seen running actually scared. They talked their little shit, and then they got ran the fuck off. So we'll start this from the beginning, please, and thank you.
Closed. It's closed because we had a criminal search warrant here today.
Okay.
What's your
name? Sorry, I didn't get your name.
You don't need my name.
Well, then who are you?
I'm with the Department of Homeland Security.
Homeland Security.
Yes.
Do you have a badge or anything to prove that? Because if not, I'm just going to walk in.
It's right there.
Where? There's no badge there, sir.
See it right here? My belt?
I just want to see the officer number. 508 here. What was your name?
We're going to shut the door now. You have about 2 seconds before you're arrested for hindering a federal investigation.
He's not even in the building.
I'm not even. How am I hindering your investigation? I'm not in the building.
We're out on the public sidewalk.
Okay. I'm not in the building. How can I hinder?
So
your
what's your concern then?
I'm concerned what's going on. I have an order to pick up.
So you're more concerned about your order, but not the labor trafficking and exploitation that's going on.
Who said there's any labor trafficking?
This is a criminal search
Kidnapping
warrant.
people. You are
This is a criminal search
Can I
warrant.
see a copy of it?
You have it signed by a judge.
Okay. You know, you guys
I already
just come
got
in
your
the
case.
kitchen.
You can take. You can take.
All right,
the
I can come in the
mask
kitchen. Thank you.
Thank you for the invitation.
Appreciate it. Want to do any names or identification today? Stand behind your work.
I got 5048 was the badge number for this gentleman from HSI.
These girls are like fucking 15 years old.
What do you tell your kids about what you do?
Public servants.
Yeah, he's so proud of your work.
Any of that or just
So proud of your work.
We're gonna hit somebody. I'm not in the way. I'm not in the way. I can't hear you. You have to hold back your chin. I'm not in the way.
They're fucking terrified. They're fucking terrified. Did you not realize what this would be, being fucking Gestapo? Being Nazis? You didn't realize what this would be like? You should quit. Quit now. Quit now, you Nazi fuck. Quit your job. It's gonna be like this every fucking day. We're coming every day. Anytime you try to kidnap people, we are gonna be here. fucking terrified. Scared as fuck. You cowards.
Ooh, there you go.
You cowards. Flee. Fucking cowards. Scared little girls. Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out.
He was in there. Get this guy. Get his car. He was in there. He wants us to.
Oh, brought a little tear to my eye. It brought a little tear to my eye. I love to see white folks on the right side of things because it happens so infrequently. It doesn't happen that often. It's almost like when you see a shooting star, you're like, oh, look, I haven't seen one of those since I was a child. Listen, that's the fucking energy, whites. You see that? You see that? Take your gang to meet their fucking gang. Because here's the thing. Even other white folks know this. Determined whites are scary. Okay. Even let me tell you who knows that better than anyone, the fucking police. You better believe that if anybody knows that if there was a group out there ready to rock and roll with law enforcement, it is the whites. Okay. And depending on what region of the country you in, it could be the whites of Kansas City. Quite easily. It could be the whites of Minnesota. It could be the whites of West Virginia. The point is that no matter what, on the correct side of justice or on the incorrect side of justice, some of the whites are ready to rock and roll. Okay. And we just got an example there of some good radical ones that continuously challenge the authority, again, of those fake ass Homeland Security. Because again, nobody knows who these motherfuckers are, who they really are. The masking, the refusal to wear identifying badges or anything like that. They just wearing t-shirts with insignia saying I'm a Homeland Security. What? There have been, to my awareness, I think I saw CBS report this, since February, there have been at least 24 instances of impersonating of ICE officers. So the actual Homeland Security, the actual federal agents are doing themselves no favors by allowing the rookies or the recruited bounty hunters to cover their faces, because it undermines whatever little credibility that the agency would have had, period, right? I love to see law enforcement undermine their credibility within the community across, not just with the black and the browns. Now the whites are like, the fuck is going on here? Let me say this also about Homeland Security, so you got, in case you haven't seen this, but the Homeland Security Agency did put out a press release because they're seeking to recruit 10,000 new agents. Have you guys heard about some of the incentives that these agents are being offered? Yeah, $50,000 signing bonuses. I thought that was fake. I had to go back and re-verify it. I'm like, what? They're offering people $50K signing bonuses. They're offering them student loan forgiveness. Wait a minute. I thought it was the conservatives that said y'all can't have student forgiveness. Okay, they're offering that. Oh, and also a generous retirement. Federal retirement? Oh, you mean the kind of federal retirement that those tens of thousands of federal workers that just got laid off via Doge cuts that they won't be getting, the ones that actually help to keep the government operating. But instead, the Gestapo is being incentivized with their new budget approval from the big booty bill. Billions of dollars more now going to Homeland Security agents, I guess, to now incentivize these new Gestapo, these new brown shirters, to come on and come get them some more brown and black scalps. But I want to shout out to those folks out in Kansas City who ran the correct energy. And I want to talk about, again, the Homeland Security agents, because, and let's circle back to Los Angeles here for a second, and California overall, because there have been some legislation has been introduced to preclude these federal agents from operating masked within the state of California, right? And the interesting thing is that this bill, even though, it hasn't passed, hasn't gone out of committee, hasn't been presented to the governor, hasn't done anything. They just presented the shit. the bill is already encountering stiff opposition, but it's encountering stiff opposition from law enforcement. Law enforcement is opposed to mask bans for themselves, which is interesting. So I want us to check out this piece from LA Taco. Shout out to Memo Torres. I appreciate LA Taco. It is a local independent media outlet that reports not only on amazing taco stands throughout Los Angeles, but they do report on issues in the community. And since the ICE raids have begun in California, is it 2 months now? How long have they been doing the ICE raids out in Los Angeles County? Well over a month. LA Taco has been giving daily updates about where ICE has been spotted, their activities. And we're going to hear a little bit about that. But Memo also spoke to 2 California state legislators who introduced these anti-masking bills for federal agents. And they're going to give some more details about that. So, Will, let's go ahead and run LA Taco.
July 31st. Now, there wasn't much ICE activity today. They were around LA, but not much was reported. But we're going to cover the No Vigilantes Act and the No Secret Police Act, which are currently trying to be passed through the state Senate and Congress. Now, there's big opposition to at least one of these bills, if not both, and you'd be surprised to hear who it's coming from. Now, these are 2 very similar bills that are going after federal agents for masking, for not identifying themselves, and trying to prevent that. Now, a couple of weeks ago, Assemblymembers Sade El-Hawadi and Mark Gonzalez did take some time to speak with me a day after they had discussed this in committees. I did speak with each of them for about 20 minutes, and this is just a snippet of those conversations, but they both mentioned the same thing about the opposition, which I wanted to share with you here.
You have the other side, right? Law enforcement who are currently local state law enforcement who feel like this is an attack against them. The law enforcement folks here are also powerful. And so they have a particular perspective on, well, why can't I wear a mask? And why do I need to do X, Y, and Z? We know that they're already doing it, but they feel like it's an attack against them when that's not the truth.
The debate that happened in committee yesterday, and I'm a member of the Public Safety Committee, the debate that happened yesterday was that this was not an attack on law enforcement. This is an attack on the ICE raids, on the Trump administration, who is sending Homeland Security and Border Patrol to target brown communities from this xenophobic dictator who is racist, and we have to call it out when we see it. We had a police group who was testifying at the dais in opposition to one of the bills, not both of the bills, which is also key on this. And I mentioned that just because their issue was we should not be lumped in to federal agents who are not abiding by current law. And you guys are putting more laws in place that are going to hinder and harm our members, our police officers from doing their job. One of my colleagues mentioned the fact that they didn't like this particular bill of how we were the mask piece of it because if they're part of SWAT or they go into a fire. And my distinction from that was when those operations of a fire or SWAT or kind of other avenues that are created when police go into those arenas are because they are emergencies or they're being called upon to go in that. In the case of ICE, they're not being called upon to take somebody out, break their door window and pull them out of their car. That is an emergency that they have created upon themselves without identifying themselves and while masking themselves. I mean, bank robbers do that. That's literally my comparison when we talk about those individuals who are not identifying themselves.
So besides opposition from state and local law agencies, they'll probably have to defend this in court as well, making sure that, one, it doesn't impede an officer's duties to conduct their jobs. And lastly, as Assemblymember El-Hawadi mentioned in our discussion, there's a lot of MAGA counties out there that may just choose not to enforce it. Well, that's it for today, folks. Stay safe.
That too. A lot of people forget that California, even though overall it is blue in the electoral map for presidential elections, California has always been blue, or at least been blue our whole lives by and large. But as many places that have significant Black and brown populations in California, baby, there are whole counties of trailer parks. Okay, like it's yeah, it's crackers. I'm trying to think what is the best way for me to describe these California whites that I'm thinking of, that don't live nowhere near, well, they might live near the beach, but that's not the ones I'm thinking of. I'm thinking about the ones in Northern California. Yeah, anyway, but no, there's a lot of red MAGA Trump supporters in Cali, even in SoCal, Orange County. I think my nephew Don can verify Orange County is a MAGA county, right? Cracker County out there. So even if this law, these no vigilantes, no secret police laws do manage to pass and get signed into law, um, who's going to enforce it? How is it going to be enforceable against federal agents? Federal agents don't necessarily have to abide by all state rules, especially state rules that govern state law enforcement. Homeland Security, obviously, is outside of that. So I guess on one level, I do appreciate the elected Democrats attempting to do something, but I don't know what this will do, if anything. The Los Angeles Board of Supervisors is also hearing arguments or entertaining a bill that would ban masked law enforcement or federal agents from being masked in Los Angeles County. And it's like, but who gonna stop them? the LA County sheriffs and the LAPD is working arm in arm with Homeland Security and ICE, even though I think they're not supposed to be, because Los Angeles is a sanctuary city. So allegedly, the local law enforcement there is not supposed to be assisting ICE in their immigration/deportation duties, but instead, LA County sheriffs and LAPD are operating as security guards, watching over ICE as they do their illegal fuckery. But y'all, we have to just keep in mind that how we get from where we are right now, which is bad, and how we could potentially get worse is to keep normalizing these kinds of activities. Yes, it is accurate. Democrats have been the deporters in chief. Biden and Obama deported folks at levels that Trump has wet dreams about, right? That he is shooting for Biden and Obama numbers. But the malice, the inhumanity, the disregard, the ICE detentions, the alligator Auschwitz, like that kind of shit is not something that we need to be either speaking about lightly or even worse, not speaking about at all. I understand from certain Black folks' perspective, some folks, and we're going to get into this a little bit later, because there was a loud and proud ADOS member coming out of the North Carolina legislature, this Black woman. I said, oh my God, we are done for. But I understand you may not be seeing yourself in these ICE raids. You may not be seeing yourself in these kidnappings. But you should. You should. This should not be happening to people. This should not be happening to people with your tax dollars. This should not be happening to people at all in 2025. But yet here we are. So the more that we keep talking about it, the more we keep reminding folks in our community who may not be tapped into this because, again, they don't see themselves in this. You have to remind them that as terrible as this treatment is, and even as terrible as the treatment that Black folks in particular have received in this country, baby, it could always be worse, and it will be worse. If the system sees that we are just standing by, are we standing back and standing by? Like if they just see us standing back and standing by, they're going to put the pedal to the metal, and then they're going to think and enact of ways to actually torture us that we haven't even thought of, right? But it's because we remained silent while this was being done to the migrant community. We stood silent while genocide is taking place against Palestinians. Like all of these things are awaiting us and worse if we don't say and do anything about it now. So we want to salute and say thank you to those that are continuing to fight, to those that are targeting ICE. Hey, whites, didn't I tell y'all, or have y'all worked on your social isolation of the Homeland Security and the ICE agents yet? Has that happened? I need to hear about it. I need to hear how families of ICE agents and Homeland Security have been disinvited from events. I need to hear it, because we know no one is better at socially icing out, pardon the pun, at socially icing out folks than white American society. And if you haven't gotten on that yet, please do that. I need you to ignore the agents. I need you to ignore their wives, their kids. School's about to start, okay? You don't let your kid go over to the house where the dad or mama is Homeland Security or ICE. No, your kid can't go over there. Dare I say your kid can't be on the team or the act. And I know it's fucked up, but these are the kinds of small sacrifices that need to be made to drive the point home that these persons, these ICE agents, these Homeland Security agents that do this kind of work, you're not welcome amongst the rest of us. You're a fucking Yahtzee. you're the Gestapo, like the white bruv said in the video. Like, we're gonna be on your ass all the time, every day. You're not welcome here. Okay? Tell your pastors to ice them niggas out at church. do like the Mormons do. Excommunicate motherfuckers. Like, whites, don't act like y'all not been on this shit. This is what y'all do. So get on it quicker, get on it better, socially isolate and create a social death for the ICE agents, Homeland Security agents, and their families. Social death. Let me take a quick break, everybody. Please. Thanks, everyone, for coming on in here. I thought I saw a couple boxes rolling up there somewhere. So we want to thank you all for the support. Will's got the support announcement.
I do. Shout out to Sith Lord Prince. Said, sup, Kim? Appreciate you. Peace from Cincinnati, Ohio. Shout out to Ohio.
Big up. Big up.
Shout out to the great 2Fs. Happy birthday, Leo Love.
Oh, thank you.
Shout out to Infinite Content. When it comes to ICE, be like the captain from Montgomery, Molly whopping. Okay, throwing up the warming signs. Yeah, this is age specific commentary. This Infinite Content again. Kim, when it comes to ICE. When it comes to them ICE immigrants, remember, every Judas never needs their 30 pieces of silver to sell their soul. So, yes, shout out to you, Infinite Content, for that. We appreciate the super chat. And William Reddish said, trolls eat shit. And I agree.
But what kind of trolls do we have in here? I always like to know the flavor variety of the trolls. I mean, I know it's mayonnaise.
Yeah.
However, but are these Trump mayonnaise?
Miracle Whip. Yeah, always Miracle Whip. Very flavorless. Go back to your own country, 2028 Trump. Yeah, just very like the same stuff.
Okay, I just like to know, because sometimes we get Zio trolls in here, we get Trump trolls. It's funny. I just like to know which ones who do I speak to? Who am I addressing with my insults?
Always Trump trolls, because they always got Trump 2020. It's always they love an election. I'm like, what are they? They just can't stop thinking. I'm like, he's he's president now. You can I want him to win next year too. Like, get off the sack, bro.
Ooh, yeah, get off his sack, nigga. Melania didn't even put in that much work. Jeez Louise.
Right. She regretting a little bit of work she did. Like,
man, listen.
But yeah, that's we got 83 people in the chat.
I'll take it.
So watching live. So hit that like, hit that sub. We appreciate everybody that comes out for sure.
We do. And I thank you all so much. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Sith Lord Prince. Thank you, William. Thank you, Infinite, of course. Infinite Content always come through with the commentary. Infinite maybe not months, maybe weeks ago, I saw a sister from Philly post a video talking about bringing ICE to Philly. She said that's a bad idea. So you don't know Philly. Listen, I want to see the Royal Rumble. Because again, these motherfuckers ain't got it, dog. These ICE agents, these new recruits, maybe even the old recruits. Like y'all. I mean, but I guess they are on point. They are on brand with regular police. I guess. Like nigga, you soft as scrotum skin out here, Holmes. Like you can't be out here confronting the public and be scary. And when I say scary, as a middle-aged black woman, when middle-aged black people say scary, they don't mean that you yourself are intimidating. That means your ass is scared. But that's a southern way. We say you scary ass. Means your ass is scared with your scary ass. So anyway, let's move along to the misleadership class, because we love to have smoke for the crackers, but the wayward blacks are as damaging to our cause as the overt crackers. Welcome to Burn It Down with Kim Brown, everybody. Tuesday, Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We set oppression ablaze, and sometimes it be your own niggas. So as we know, as I just talked about, the level of brutality and inhumanity and lack of due process and everything else that is being shown to immigrants in the United States is reprehensible. Okay, and a lot of this is being led by GOP white supremacists, not only at the federal level, but in some instances at the state level. In the great state of North Kakalaki, North Carolina, raise up, take your shirt off, twist it around your head, spin it like a helicopter. There was a pair of bills making its way through the North Carolina House and one through the North Carolina Senate. Now, to my understanding, I think this is HB 318, House Bill 318, which would in effect strengthen an already existing bill on the books in North Carolina about local law enforcement assisting ICE and Homeland Security with detaining migrants. We're about to watch a package here that's going to give more details. But as you know, North Carolina has a Democratic governor. And this particular bill, this House Bill 318, was one that Governor Stein vetoed. And it was sent back to the Carolina legislature where it was overridden. Now, at least one Democrat went across the aisle and voted with the Republicans on this anti-immigration bill. So I want us to watch the package so we can get an understanding about what exactly these two bills, but the one that is actually now law, what they include, and who was this Democrat that voted with the Republicans in favor of these of this new shit. of this new shit. So let's go ahead and check out the package. Thank you, Will.
Developments just hours ago on the legislative front in North Carolina. Tonight, local government officials in the state must now cooperate more closely with federal immigration officials. This is a reversal here on a recent attempt to block this policy from going to effect.
And today, Republican lawmakers overriding one of Governor Stein's vetoes and working to override another.
And WCNC Charlotte's Julie Kay is joining us right now to talk about this. So, Julie, what can you tell us?
Yeah, we're still waiting for a vote from the House on that Senate bill override, but House Bill 318 is now law. This means local sheriff's offices must cooperate more closely with the federal government's mass deportation effort. It also requires sheriffs to detain accused illegal immigrants for up to 48 hours after they would have normally been released, a measure Stein says is unconstitutional. Notably, that veto could not have been overridden without the support of Representative Carla Cunningham from Mecklenburg County, who's a Democrat. She says she's received threats from her stance. However, opponents say this bill undermines due process and is a slippery slope.
All cultures are not equal. Some immigrants come and believe they can function in isolation, refusing to adapt.
This wouldn't be targeted for people who have been convicted by these crimes. It would be alleged So it makes it a lot easier to kind of target our folks.
Now, this bill has been strongly opposed by Mecklenburg County Sheriff Gary McFadden. He's also pushed back on claims that his office is refusing to work with ICE outright. Colin, Vanessa, back to you.
Yeah, some interesting stuff here. We'll see where this goes from here. Julie, thank you.
Thanks, Julie. Yeah. Carla Cunningham, Black woman, Democrat, sided with the GOP. You heard that clip there. All cultures aren't created equal. Oh, is that right, Carla? I feel like I've heard this before somewhere, Carla, but usually not coming out of faces that look like yours. I've heard the phrase, all cultures aren't created equal. Interesting. So I was curious. I said, no. I said, I need a little bit more context. I said, because that sounded a little crazy, just those few seconds. Perhaps Carla was misquoted. Perhaps her words were taken out of context. So I found Representative Carla Cunningham's her full remarks. Will, if you could. So let's bring up Representative Cunningham. Let's stick me down in the Kona. Because I wish I could give you this feeling. I wish I could give you this feeling. On the corner, niggas robbing, killing, dying just to make a living, huh? So, Will, do me a favor. So we're going to pull Carla up. We're going to throw me in the corner. Because I would like to say some things while she is saying her things. Because she had a lot of things to say. And a lot of them I don't agree with, quite obviously. But she is going to make a proud political declaration here. So, Will, do you have the clip?
You asked me to line up.
So let's start it from the
behind
beginning.
Another group of people.
And pause it. So, and I'll just say stop or pause when she says something that I like to respond to. But you guys, this is the kind of fight that Black folks need to be having internally. Okay. These are the discussions that we actually have to deal with and confront, because the way that some Black Americans see our struggle as a singular struggle, as a isolated struggle, as our struggle is completely unrelated to that of other marginalized and oppressed people, not only in this rotten country, but around the world. Like, some Black people in America are as myopic as the whites in America. God damn it. Maybe it's a function of being American, probably. But it makes me sad and I cry because I don't understand why ADOS is like this. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. This is Representative Carla Cunningham announcing why she is standing with the Republicans in supporting House Bill 318, which requires North Carolina law enforcement to work more closely on mass deportations with the federal government. So let's start.
If you ask me to line up behind another group of people to raise awareness about their plight, I unapologetically say no. I am ADOS, American Descendants of Slaves. I am a Black American. And I am an American.
Stop.
I'm going to present my case.
So let's start there. So if Black Americans are so American, why is it that Black people have to have the talk? Even white folks know about the talk now because it is such a widespread cultural thing. The talk, where Black parents instruct their Black children, especially teenagers, especially young adults, but even including small children, about how to interact and how to engage with police in order to save their lives, how to keep their hands visible, how to speak to officers with respect and with deference, again, in order to placate the authority figure so the authority figure doesn't arbitrarily steal your life because they can, because that's what they do to Black people in America. So do white folks have this same talk? What other things, what other aspects about the Black experience in America that makes us American with the full rights and privileges of so-called citizenship. You know, Sister Carla done lost her goddamn mind. We ain't American. We just here. Next, roll it, Will.
Case in support of House Bill 318, as it is time for my unapologetic truth to be shared with all of you. First, as a people, we need to recognize that it's not just the numbers that matter, but also where the immigrants come from and the culture they bring with them to another country. As the social scientists report, all cultures are not equal. Some immigrants come and believe they can function in isolation, refusing to adapt. They have come to our country for many reasons, but I suggest they must assimilate.
Pause.
Adapt to the culture of the country.
They must assimilate. They must adapt to the culture in which they come. They must not function. I thought she was going to say fuck. The way she said they function. I'm like, Jesus. They function in isolation. Listen, as though Black Americans in this country were not legally redlined and segregated by the dominant white society and white-run government. If immigrants have communities in which they are perceived to be segregated, it is likely due to protection, okay? In the same way that Black communities, the reason why Black people lived in close proximity to one another was for protection and for proximity to each other, right? Safety in numbers, allegedly. But these same critiques are never levied at white communities or white immigrant communities, right? Maybe they were 100+ years ago, right? Where there was specific targeting of Irish communities and Italian communities and Slavic communities, Eastern European communities, Russian even. Very infamously, a breakdown was done of conservative commentator Tommy Lauren's ancestors, her immigrant ancestors who came here from Russia and never learned the fucking language, right? So all of this, you must come here and assimilate into America. You must check your culture at the door in order to become American. Is so whitewashed in colonialism and white supremacy. It saddens me that this Black woman, either she is oblivious to what the fuck she's saying, or she thinks erroneously that if you subscribe to caucasity, if you subscribe to crackerism, if you don that American flag around your shoulders, that somehow will allow you to elevate and to yourself assimilate to first class citizenship status, which, by the way, Representative Cunningham, I assure you that when her children, her sons, her grandsons get pulled over by the police, they themselves are scared shitless. Or is that some of the perks and privileges of being an American? As a Black one, I don't think so. ADOS. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Will. Let her run.
They wish to live in. No country is going to allow people to come in and not acknowledge its constitution, legal systems, and laws. They will not tolerate it. As a country, the United States has been more tolerant than most other countries. Other countries are making it much more difficult to get citizenship. We have been naive. We have been exploited and abused by the different tactics to gain citizenship in America. It's time to wake up. We must establish new rules to address a distinct type of migration that we are facing in our country, state, and cities. It's time to turn the conveyor belt off. Let me share with you all what happens when a woman lawmaker like myself choose to move differently. Yes, I was degraded for my vote. Yes, I was called racist for my vote. And yes, I was said I was trash. However, I figured it out. They want me to stop elevating my ancestors' history. They want me to be silent in my country. They want me to line up behind their priorities while my people and communities continue to struggle in our country. Is this not your country? This is my country. With the good and the not so good, this is my country, 'tis of thee. Now, if you want to adapt to my country, not isolate yourself and come here legally, I welcome you. But today, I am telling you, I am not going to be silenced by those who disagree with my ideology on the issue at hand. It was my ancestors who came over as slaves, built this country with a strain on their backs. They sweat pouring from their bodies in the rice fields, the cotton fields, and the tobacco farms for this country. Lived as servants and was the footstool, I said the footstool, for far too many feet to step on. So today, if you ask me to line up behind another group of people to raise awareness about their plight, I unapologetically say no.
So again, this is a sentiment that I keep hearing from the goofy ADOS types. No one's asking you to line up behind anybody. Absolutely carry forward the priorities of Black folks in this country that work us closer to liberation, though I don't think that's going to happen from the floor of the North Carolina House chamber. But it's about standing with, not standing behind. And if you don't see the struggle of the folks that are being targeted for these inhumane policies and how our struggles are inextricably linked, though they may appear just slightly different on the surface, you would sound like a cracker or a nigga that thinks she a cracker, or maybe she just don't understand. I don't understand, and I don't understand. Like I am in confusion of the whole ADOS thing, and I want you guys to check out the latest episode of Brokish over on Black Liberation Media. I meant to look at it today because I wanted to have a little bit more information for before I talked about this tonight, but I didn't get a chance to. Shout out to Erica and Amber; they are talking about ADOS as well. And but I wasn't thinking about ADOS until I saw Representative Cunningham, and while I do on a woman to woman level, I do have tiny bit of empathy because y'all know I'm a little bit of a sucker. I'm a little bit I'm too nice. I feel compassion for all, even when they say and do goofy shit. But as a Black woman, I do kind of feel a little bad that people called her names and deriding her and stuff. But at the same time, sister, you need to be ready for this critique, because it's not so much you lining up and standing behind other people. Baby, why don't you take a look around and see who you are standing with? Okay, look around at the lawmakers that you are joining forces with to vote on this. Are these folks, these other lawmakers that support HB 318, do they strike you as people that have the Black community's best interests at heart? Any resources that you perceive are going to migrants, let's say all of those resources get cut off, as small as they may be, do you think they're about to be redistributed to Black folks? Like, in what world do you think that Black people in this country are going to benefit from mass deportation of migrants that have come here? Like, how does that help us? If anything, it further separates us from those that we should be trying to build alliances with. And I know there's a big gap that the Latino community has to overcome with their anti-Blackness, and then Black folks who have been on the receiving end of anti-Blackness from Latino folks. we got to figure out a way. And that doesn't just go for anti-blackness from the Latino community. That goes for anti-blackness from the Asian community, anti-blackness from the indigenous community. Like, listen, y'all, the other people of color, listen, y'all need to tighten up, okay? Because trust and believe, you want Black Americans to stand with you in these times. Well, we need all that solidarity with us all the time. Like, don't just wait until it's your number being called by the white supremacist system for targeted brutality and exploitation and this, that, and the third. No, we need to be building these coalitions constantly, right? Not just in particular times of heightened stress. And but this ADOS argument is not going to be the winning one. Shout out to Ear Doctor, by the way, because I appreciate what he says about ADOS. He said, I don't get how your starting point of your history is slavery, which is a sentiment that I totally feel, but it kind of is representative of the ADOS narrative. They don't see themselves as African, right? Like, they see themselves as enslaved people, formerly enslaved people who are dying literally to become a part of the American fabric, right? Who see themselves as Americans, see themselves as part of America, and just think that if they themselves better assimilate, if they themselves become better capitalists, if they themselves get the right funding, like, oh, then we can finally, after 400 years, be real Americans. It is a pipe dream, baby. It's never going to happen. It's the whole reason the class or the designation and the fake designation of white was created in the first place. White doesn't exist outside of America, really. Maybe Canada. It doesn't really exist outside of North America, right? White people in England are English. White people in Finland are Finnish. What's white people in America? They're white. Because it's fake. It's phony. There is no whiteness. There is English, there is French, there is German, there is Polish, there's all those things. White is a designation created here for America to separate the whites away from indigenous, Latino, and African, right? And that's the thing. And white is only used for America, right? Inside of America, white Americans, right? So there's no way, Black folks, there's no way, ADOS folks, there's no way, number one, that you're ever going to get reparations from the people that thieved and plundered land, resources, and labor for hundreds of years. You think they about to cut a check? Nope. Nope. And even if they were cutting checks, ADOS folks should not be opposed to Africans from other countries, especially those that were also the descendants of slavery, those in the Caribbean, those in South America, those in Central. Like, let's be serious here. We're never going to get anywhere just looking out for ourselves. If anything, we need to be building bridges. But we also need those communities to reciprocally build bridges with us. And check that anti-Blackness shit when it comes up in your community. Because communities of color, Latinos, Asians, indigenous, you know, all that integrated schooling and housing that you get when your grandparents came here, when your parents came here. Yeah, you wouldn't have had that if it wasn't for Black folks in this country. Never forget the blood and sacrifice that Black people from this nation laid down. Okay, that doesn't mean that all of these things that we fought and bled for are only for us. But please don't forget, when you come here, when your parents and grandparents came here, they weren't going to get any of that but for Black people in this country. So all the more reason for us to stand together and not separate, especially when we're seeing groups being targeted by this government in the same way that this government still targets Black people here. We're not above anybody. Okay? And sending support and standing in solidarity with the migrant communities that are being impacted doesn't shirk our priorities or our needs at all, because actually our needs are all in the same. So anyway, don't be ADOS, please. Please try to deprogram the ADOSs in your community. because they sound like white supremacists. They sound like colonizers. They sound like the same people that told us for generations, well, if you just talk proper, if you can just if you get the proper requisite amount of education, if you pull your pants up, if you don't wear your hair in locks, if you look professional, you too will be allowed to ascend up the caste system. And it's never happened. And it won't happen because the goalposts will constantly be moved. ADOS, you will never be American. I hate to tell you this. It's almost like telling you that Santa Claus doesn't exist. Because that's kind of the level of naivete I think folks must, as Black people in this country, you must have a childlike comprehension of this country to think that you will ever get reparations from it, one, and two, ever be fully accepted as a first-class citizen. We'd be better off tearing America down and starting again before that happens. And listen, with Pluto fucking retrograding in Aquarius, the shit might happen sooner than we think. So we're going to get there. Let me take a quick little breakity poo. A breakity poo. Y'all come on in here. Thank you all so much for joining us. Let me big up to all the people that showed up to yell at the DC City Council. As you guys may or may not know, this is not a story I'm about to get into. I just want to tell you this real quick. The Washington Commanders have been approved or quickly on their way to approval for a brand new stadium, RFK Stadium, not for that gargoyle that's the fucking Health and Human Services Secretary, not that nigga, his daddy, the OG RFK. RFK Stadium in DC, is where the Washington R words used to play, and the current Washington Commander Stadium in Prince George's County. It's a little chateau. So anyway, so they want to build a new multi-billion-dollar stadium inside of DC proper on the same site as RFK Stadium currently sits in Northeast DC. The Washington residents, the taxpayers of DC, will be on the hook for about $1 billion as Medicaid gets cut, as SNAP gets cut, as DC healthcare gets cut. Yeah, sure. $1 billion. What's $1 billion? Who needs $1 billion in DC? What residents need $1 billion? And as housing goes up, all the things. So they had an open forum opportunity for citizens to address the city council and to express their desires. And a number of people came and screamed on them niggas. And I said, thank you. Thank you. They need to be screamed on because again, the backwards economics of stadium construction is something that keeps getting sold and sold again to cities. And more times than not, these stadium sites are in Black communities and they keep getting told about the benefits. Oh, it's the jobs. It's going to be jobs. It's going to be so much jobs. Oh, we're going to have some affordable housing. 20% of the units will be affordable for, 10 years. Oh, wonderful. Sounds like a great deal. Oh, and I did think the city has renegotiated or extracted a few more millions out of the Washington Commanders. So I think originally the number I heard was $25 million will be spent by the Commanders given to the city for programs, youth programs, blah, 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 blah. So now the Washington Commanders have agreed to offer up $50 million instead of $25 million to the city annually. That those numbers may have changed, but that was the most recent thing that I heard. And I thought to myself, $50 million doesn't sound like shit to a fucking NFL franchise, especially one as valuable and as profitable as the Washington Commanders franchise. So yeah, there's going to be a new stadium coming to DC by 2030. Hopefully it'll get stopped in its tracks, but it does seem as though billionaires tend to get their way. It doesn't, irrespective of what the people might say. So just want to throw that out there. Keep an eye on that. So guys, time for the palate cleanser. I appreciate you guys making time, hanging out with me tonight. Now, this palate cleanser comes with a couple caveats. Because somebody does die in this palate cleanser. I normally don't put death in the palate cleanser, but it is in this one. And I'm going to be honest here. This clip, this news package is very short. It is scant in details. And when I first heard it, I was like, "Oh, well, you don't say." But then I heard it a couple more times, and I'm like, there might be something more to this that's just not been revealed yet. So the basis of this story being a palate cleanser is the information presented in the package only. Okay, no inferences. We're believing for the purposes of this palate cleanser, we're going to believe the news that they are giving factual information, though I think there's something more to this story. But just off the surface, I said, well, looky there. From the beginning, my good brother Will, let's run the palate cleanser.
Is dead in the northwest suburbs after an unusual run-in with two teens last night. The Lake County. And a man is dead in the northwest suburbs after an unusual run-in with two teens last night. The Lake County Sheriff says the masked man approached two girls who were walking home in Cary last night. They ran away and told a parent, who then called 911. Sheriff's deputies eventually found the suspect dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Bam! Didn't say where they found him dead. Didn't say found. There was a lot of information missing there for that to be a quick 30-second hit. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm lacking context here. But again, just accepting the news as it was presented as though it was 100% factual. For a man to have bothered two teen girls, a masked man to have approached and bothered two teen girls, and for that man later to be found allegedly by his own hand, I said, look at a leader. I said, look at a trend setter. If you are a person, an adult especially, that thinks that you may be a predator, you may want to target young people for harm of varying kinds. If you think that there's a possibility that once you start harassing young folks and attempting to harm and abuse them, maybe that you're not going to be able to stop yourself. Stop yourself. Stop yourself. If you're thinking of harming others, you have to start with yourself first. Okay. And I know in this age of, well, you shouldn't be telling people to go do that kind of thing, Kim, because we have a mental health crisis. No, I agree. We definitely have a mental health crisis, but we also have a crisis of lack of self-awareness. So for folks who think that they are predators or may become predators, for them to have the self-awareness to understand that they likely are not going to be able to stop or control this behavior before they accumulate victims, they should take themselves out. And I wanted to salute to that person unknown, unnamed. Again, the news, very scant on the details. The sheriff's department also very scant on details. Again, for all the fuck I know, the sheriff's killed him. I don't know what the fuck happened. But again, I'm basing my opinion off what was presented and what was presented only. I want to salute to that self-aware man of all things. Like, if you think you're about to be a dirtball out here, and you guys know what I say about the harmful predator dirtballs, they get several victims before they are usually caught, if they are ever caught, right? They have opportunities to harm, sometimes over long periods of time. I hope that is not the case for this person. I hope that once they discovered that maybe they didn't have the stomach to be harming teen girls just innocently walking home, maybe they figured, well, they'd be better off out of here. And they are right. So thank you to that individual, assuming the facts are what as presented. Thank you to that person for doing what needed to be done. We don't need more harmful people. In fact, we need less. So if the harmful people recognize that maybe they may be beyond repair, beyond reproach, as are many sexual abusers, they never stop. They never stop. They never stop. If you think you one of those, do the right thing. That's our show. I want to thank everybody for coming through. If you want to help support our summer fundraiser, you can help us directly. Cash App, $BIDWKB, Venmo at BIDWKB, PayPal.me/BIDWKB, and Patreon.com/BIDWKB. I'm not logged into the Patreon, everybody. So if we did get some new patrons, I'm going to figure that out and acknowledge you come Tuesday show. Okay. But I thank you all so much. Shout out to, I heard Franny French. What's up? Infinite. Who else did I see was in there? I think I saw Yipper99. I saw Holly in here. I see the folks. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me tonight. Even to the trolls. Trolls, please reconsider your allegiances. If it is indeed the girls and the young women and the children, if you so care about the children, then you might want to reconsider supporting this president, because he tends to hang out with guys that don't check IDs with intention. So do better. So anyway, thank you so much to Will and Molly. Thanks to all to listening. And please tune in tomorrow to Black Liberation Media. Saturdays with Renee airs 11 a.m. Eastern time. Like I said, the new episode of Brokish is out. Please go check that out. Subscribe to Black Liberation Media, please. And thank you. And we will, what I see there, Will? Do we have any other acknowledgments? Because I see a little blue box or green.
Infinite Content. He turned happy early birthday. His birthday's on Monday. He turned 50.
Whoa. Happy early birthday, Infinite, my Leo brother, a day oneer, a supporter of this channel and related channels, an insightful brother, a well-informed brother, a well-intentioned brother. I appreciate you, Infinite Content. I appreciate you, Black man. Thank you for all your ongoing support. And I wish you a blessed and safe and prosperous happy birthday, good sir. And for that, gang, thank you so much to Will and Molly. We will see y'all back here Tuesday. Love you guys. See y'all later. Bye-bye.